we're going to look at making these. Just little standalone walls, rebuilt ruins. And just a little bit more stuff to add, just spread around sparsely on your game board. You can get stuff like this at your local hardware store. I got some strips I pulled off of it. And we're going to cut and just make different blocks, different sizes. Okay, now we're going to want to make some little bases for you to stack these on. So what I do is there's just about enough space on my wire cutter between the wire and the ground when I hold it like this and put it right to the ground. And then all I do is I take my piece of styrofoam, start getting it hot, and then just push it through. Nice and easy. And that's going to give me a small thin base to set these on. Alright, so you'll need toothpicks, hot glue gun. I got my sort of my larger blocks, my medium blocks, and my small blocks, my bases. So basically how I'll do it is I'll just grab one. And it doesn't really matter what you start with, either small, medium, large. And we'll stick this right in there. And we'll feel on the other end, right where it's coming out, and I'm gonna stop it right there. And I'm gonna take my hot glue gun, just put a dab. I just put it on the toothpick. I'll set this on the ground so I can push another piece right through. You also get some push through from the hot glue. Just use an extra toothpick to twirl it off to where it's not like a blob. Get another little piece. And let's do a smaller one. Well, this looks about the same size actually, but put it on. We'll do it a different direction. I mean, the look you're going for is like sort of rebuilt ruins. As if there were ruins that had fell down and then something came through and just tried to piece it back together just for shelter or to make a stronghold. So just do a hot glue in between each one. Let's throw another big one on. Turn it a different direction. Other thing is just sort of watch your lean. Watch how it starts to lean one direction. but we're not going to be too terribly worried about it. All right, let's do another smaller piece. Really small. There's a piece. And what we can do then is now we're going to glue it to our base. If you have any excess come out, just scoop it up. Now with this next piece, I'm going to take a larger piece, stick it through. I'm going to go through a little bit. Just enough to where I can plant this spike part into this down here. A little hot glue. Push that up. Push it down. I'm going to clip the rest of this toothpick off. All right. And I'm going to get a really little piece. Put a little hot glue right there. Now I'm just going to take this and wedge it in there. Putting that wedge in there actually made it really tight and pushing down too, so it's pretty solid. Now, if you end up doing your build and it's not very well balanced, this one's come out pretty good. Yeah, it's going to stand on its own. It's pretty light, but I've had a few that weren't. They leaned a little bit. So what I did was just take a real rock, and hot glued it to the back after I did everything, after I painted and it was the end process, to where it was falling this way. So I put the weight down at the bottom, just hot glued a rock, and it kept it there. Same with this one. Put a rock right there, and it puts the weight down the bottom to keep it standing straight. So that's the way you can solve some of your balance problems. without having to add a different base down. Alright, when we come back, we'll paint it. Now, to better make sure this stays together when we paint it, and to put a coat of something that the paint will adhere to, because some parts of this foam it likes to beat up. So we can get our Mod Podge, and I just get a cheap brush and just dab it on there really good. Try to get in the cracks the best you can, because if you want to put a finish on this when you're completely done, you want to make sure that foam is covered, because that finish can eat through. Alright, and then just let it dry, and we'll come back and put the first coat on. Okay, now that our Mod Podge is dry, we're going to put a coat of black on here. So just black acrylic, watered down just a little bit. That way it gets all in the cracks and crevices. Just let it drain through where you can't really get to your brush, it'll run in there. Alright, after you got your black painted on and dried, you might have to go a little bit thicker than your first coat that was thin, because you wanted it real thin to get in between the cracks and crevices. And then you want to be able to still cover up the color of the styrofoam with the black. So after that, I want to get you some gray. This is pewter gray. I'm going to use pewter gray, steel gray, and then dove gray. So that'll be my 3 different shades of gray I can use. And just a touch, drops of water. Got this water bottle, put a little hole in the top. That way I can just sort of put some droplets down. Alright, now we're going to go with our steel gray. Now let that dry. Alright, now we're going to do the dove gray. Mix this white up, and basically what we're doing is put a little bit of highlights on it. Just like where the light may be hitting it, reflecting off, just making some of the spots pop. I want this pretty dry. Maybe not too dry. Sort of drag it down on the edges. Just corners a little bit. All right, now we have the wood of the toothpick sticking up. Now you can leave it like this and it could be like spikes coming out the top of it. Or I have ordered these little bitty beads that look like skulls. Just get you a little bit of PVA glue. Put you just a little bit of dot on there. All right. And then take your skull and just sort of mash it down. Now there. So now you got your little bit of a freestanding, rebuilt, ruined wall. You can also do this with browns to maybe get a more of a desert look. Just pick you a couple shades of brown and do the same thing. Still use the black and then put a dark coat of brown, dark brown over it. And then use about 2 other shades of a lighter brown each time you do it. Pat it on just like you did the grays. And then put some little highlights with dry white on the brush. And you can make all kinds of shapes, walls, piles. You can make the pilings. These can just, you can take these and lean them up against something. Alright, so hey, check down below, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll keep making some videos on different stuff that you can add to your tabletop gaming. Until then, thanks.